Tool storage is a big part of any shop, so in this video, I'm going to show you 5 more tool holders that will go on the French Cleat Tool Wall. These holders are not necessarily specific to a French cleat system. You could mount these in the wall in another way. I just think that the French cleat system is the most convenient method for storing tools in the shop. I bought this roll of craft paper after making my new workbench. I'm going to try to keep the top surface as clean as I can for as long as I can. I know it'll eventually get beat up, but I do hope to prolong that. So when I'm painting or gluing things up, I'm going to use some craft paper. Of course, I want the paper to be easy to access, so I'm going to make a dispenser for it. I have a lot of scrap wood in the shop, so I think I should be able to make something out of this. I don't really have a design for this, I'm just going to figure it out as I go along. I know that I'll need a round dowel or something for the roll to sit on, and since I don't have any scrap dowel, I'm going to make something using a roundover bit in the router. I'll need a couple of pieces for the ends as well to attach the dowel to, and I think that these scraps from the stairs will work fine for that. I'm going to need to drill a hole for the dowel. In one, I'll drill all the way through, and the other, I'll stop halfway. Now I just need a piece for the back, and one for the front. I want to attach something to the front to use as a cutter. I'll probably just use a hacksaw blade. The piece for the back is some old hardwood flooring scraps, and the piece for the front is another cutoff from the stairs. Now that I have all these pieces laid out, I don't think I like how the end pieces look. The hole is in a bad spot, and the angle on the front just looks wrong. The cutter may not work well at that angle. So I ended up cutting off a bit from the sides and drilling some new holes. I think that'll work a lot better. So let's put it together and see if it works. I don't have any screws that are small enough to attach the cutter. And I ended up splitting this piece when I tried to put one in there, but I can glue that back down. I will need to shorten these screws though. Now I can attach a cleat to the back of it and add it to the wall. It works great. I do have a lot of pencils. My wife was a school teacher, and I think her pencil budget was more than the GDP of some small nations. I think this is all I'll need for this task. Some PVC pipe, and a piece of scrap birch plywood. I drew this rough plan out on the plywood, and I'm going to go cut it on the scroll saw. I think my scroll saw skills could use a bit of work, but maybe I can sand it down a little to smooth out those sides. And just as I was about to get started sanding, my wife sent me a message that a package had arrived, and that it was a big one. When I got up to the house, this is what I saw. The SnapMaker had arrived, and sooner than expected. So I set it up as fast as I could, and decided that maybe the CNC machine would do a better job of making this than I could with the scroll saw. Of course, it did do a much better job than I did. And since this is also a 3D printer, why not print a tube instead of using the PVC pipe? There, that looks pretty good now. And now I just need to attach a cleat to the back and add it to the wall. The CNC worked so well for the pencil holder, I thought I'd make something else with it. I have a few of these nail setter punches that don't have a home yet. Their new home is going to be this piece of oak. and drill the holes out with the CNC. I thought it'd be faster just to use a drill press for that, but I did create a bevel for the holes, so it'd be easier to accurately drill the holes using the drill press. Now I wanted to add a bit of stain to it, and I've seen this trick used a few times. You just put some brad nails through a piece of wood and use it to hold your workpiece up while you paint or stain it. This one didn't work so well for me. I think next time I'll attach it to something heavier so it won't move around on me, and maybe the nails could be better aligned as well. After that dried, I added a couple of small pleats to the back and put it on the wall. I think for this one, I want to try all three functions of the SnapMaker. First, I used the 3D printer to make these two things. I'm not even sure what to call them, but they're basically hooks to rest the wrenches in. I'm still learning how to use the 3D printer properly, and my first attempts at this failed because the hooks just snapped off with almost no force at all. A 3D printer prints in layers from bottom to top, and my first print was printed with these hooks pointed up, and that made them really weak. So the next one I printed on its side, and they're much stronger. These hook racks are going to be inset into this plywood, so I used the CNC to cut a couple of channels for them to rest in. With those cut, I thought I'd use a laser engraver to spice it up a bit. There, no one will ever have to ask what goes in this thing. Now I can just detach the 3D printed parts to the plywood. Add the cleat to the back and put it up on the wall. I think this one looks pretty cool, but I think as I learn to use this machine a little more, I can do even better. Okay, I want to try that again. I'm going to use all three functions of the machine to make a holder for these cutters. I don't know why I have so many of these, but since I do have them, I need somewhere to put them. So I'm going to take this bit of plywood that just barely fits on the machine and cut out the two pieces that I plan to use for the ends. The CNC part can be pretty messy, but it's a workshop, so that's okay. There, now I have two ends. Let's add some decoration with the laser. Well, that looks pretty good, except for one thing. Those were upside down, and no eraser is going to fix that mistake. But paint will. Now let's try that again. Now that I have that facing the right way around, I can put it all together. The middle section is 3D printed, and so are the shelves. This freshly laser etched part is a little bit sooty, so I had to give it a wipe down. I also added some scrap paneling to the back to hold it all together, and a little bit on the bottom as well for extra shelf space. Now I can just attach the cleat to the back of it and add it to the wall. So now when I need a cutter, I know exactly where to find one or six. The SnapMaker is going to be a lot of fun to play with. All of these tool holders can be made with basic shop tools, but this just adds a little bit of spice to it all. I still have many more things to add to the tool wall, and I plan to use the SnapMaker as much as possible. Click here for the video with more details about the SnapMaker and see how easy it was to build.